So this week we're also going to start teaching the dog a settle. So settle is a little bit different from down. It's a bit more comfortable for the dog. It's that position, not quite like a sphinx, where they pop onto their hip instead and find a position where they can settle down. Now 9 out of 10 times when we ask our dog to lie down, what we actually want is for them to be calm and for them to stay where they are and chill out, which is why we train the settle as opposed to the down in these sorts of classes. What we're going to do to train that is, to start with, we're going to use a lure. Now I want you to get your dog's bed or something that's really comfortable for your dog, like a cushion, so that we know that when we're asking them to lie down, they're going to be comfortable. The last thing we want to do is ask them to do it on a hard surface or a cold surface, because the dog's less likely to actually perform the behaviour that we're trying to get them to do. We don't want to put obstacles in the way of our dog. So to lure this behaviour, we're going to have to use a particular mechanic. And it's going to go pause, shoulder, mark, treat. Okay? So let's have a look at that. We're going to pull the treat. We've got it here. I'm going to put it on my dog's nose. I'm going to pull it in between his paws to start with. I'm then going to move it around towards his shoulder. And as he pops his hip like he did there, I'm going to mark yes, and then I'm going to feed him. And I want to practice that a few times. Now, in order to practice this a few times, actually, we don't really want to get the dog on and off the bed loads and loads of times, because it's not going to be very energy efficient for them, and they're going to start thinking that the work isn't quite worth it for the food. So instead, most of the reps that we do, we'll just pull the dog back into that sphinx down. To do that, we're going to find his nose and we're just going to pull it forward a little bit so that he straightens up. There we go. Good lad. And then we're going to pull it back onto his shoulder. Yes. Good boy. Mark him when he pops the hip. And do it again, and we're going to do that a couple of times. Each time that he pops his hip like that, I'm feeding him 3 times to make sure that he knows it pays to stay there. So pulling him back forward again, good boy, back round to the shoulder, good. Feed, feed, feed. Now I've done that 3 times, I'm going to get him off the bed and I'm going to go again. To do that, I'm just going to toss a treat off the side of the bed and then off we go again. So between the paws to the shoulder, yes. Mark when he pops that hip, feed, feed, feed. Now when the dog gets really good at this, we can stop using that shoulder feeding, and instead we can bring in a word. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to remove that hand, and instead when the dog stands up on his bed, we're going to say settle. We're going to bring our hand and we're going to wait for that hip to pop. Feed, feed, feed. If your dog doesn't do it pretty quickly, then go back to luring, lure it a few more times and then drop out the lure and bring in the word. Again, if he doesn't do it again, give it a few more times. Some dogs need a lot more repetition of the hand going to the right place than others before they really, really get what we want them to do. As soon as they get what we want them to do, we can bring in that word settle and instead just ask them to settle. And then, hey presto, you've got the exact position that you're looking for. Let's go. Settle. Yes. Good boy. Good boy.
To learn more, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.